Hey there, welcome to our college show. I'm Chris. I guess I can call myself the editor of Mahoney Matters, and I'm with Peter. He's the sports writer for Canton Repository. Peter, how you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Fantastic. And um, oh, love the background noise here. Yeah, I'm doing well. We took last week off, just a real busy work week for me, but it's good to be back. We're kind of going position by position, going through the draft. I think 2 weeks ago we talked about quarterbacks, but now talk about running backs. And there's a lot of recognizable names, I guess, on the quarterback list, but I don't recognize the names quite as much on the running back list. So, Peter, I'm going to lock the door. So start telling me about the number five guy. I'll be right back.
Well, there's really not a ton of depth as far as running back position, but there are certain guys that I really like. The fifth one, it's probably my favorite, is Tajay Spears from Tulane. Tajay only got, I think probably the only thing you gotta do is pop the tape of the Tulane USC game, and he literally just light up that USC defense. So he's definitely a guy that I really like, and he performed well at the Senior Bowl too. So Tajay Spears 50. One of his favorite guys growing up was Reggie Bush, and I could see the resemblance of his game. So Tajay Spears Tulane is at number five.
Yeah, you tweeted about him. I know you're a Dolphins fan. Are you hoping Dolphins pick him up?
I hope so. They need a running back. They ain't got none right now.
Okay. Um, so very interesting. So you're saying he's possibly like a Reggie Bush type player.
Yeah, he got a little bit of Reggie Bush in him, and he was the
Okay,
guy that he grew up watching. So he tried to emulate his game.
great. Yeah, running back's kind of an interesting role because running back's so important, but we've gotten, especially in the NFL, to such a passing league that it seems like running backs been devalued. Do you think some running backs are trying to be more receivers now? It seems like
Um, I I want to go as far as that. I think running back is not like there's a bell cow running backs like that anymore. You know,
yeah.
to our left is Henry and Nick Chubb, but this league you do have to show a little bit of like some athlete type, um, or you got really stellar pass blocker. So you pretty much have to do it all, or and then at the least a running back position.
Yeah, it was just interesting to see. As a Steelers fan, Le'Veon Bell, tweeted out talking like somebody asked him on Twitter, what would you do again if you had to do it again? The guy's like, I want to be a receiver because he felt that he kind of got run down a little bit and his career didn't last as long as a running back. I would say Le'Veon Bell had some other issues than that, but it was interesting to hear his take on it. All right, so you have Spears at number five. Who do you have at number four?
He might be under the radar too. His name is Zach Charbonnet, from
Okay.
UCLA. I like him too. He's when I was watching him, I see a guy who's maybe not the quickest, but he can make a player miss. Very, very physical, but not the most. He's not the guy who's gonna run you over every time. And he's also very fluid in the passing game as well. I think you're gonna pretty much get a lot. He can pretty much bring a little rhythm of everything with him. With Charbonnet, and he definitely had a great year, or at least a great career at UCLA. I believe he rushed for like over 1,500 yards, uh, or something like that, in his final season. So definitely a guy to look out for that. Is Zach Charbonnet.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on mute for a second, but I'm putting myself on mute. But tell me a little about your number three as I'm moving.
My number three, my number three is Devon Archain from Texas A&M. Devon Archain, he's probably the I think he's probably the most quickest. No, I think he's probably the fastest. One fastest player on the team on the running backs class. It's breakaway speed. Can make a player miss. Had a great final year at Texas A&M as well. I think he led the SEC in rushing yards. I'm definitely a fan of his elusiveness. So yeah, uh, that's another guy who can probably fall somewhere in a second round, third round ish, probably. So my number three will be Devon Archain. Devon Archain. I think he led Texas A&M with trying to look up his numbers. He had rushed for uh, he rushed for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he made a major progress in the 2021 season where he was close to 1,000 yards. So 5'9", 185 doesn't really have an ideal size that's appealing because he's but as far as a speedster, he's probably gonna make a really good change of pace back.
Yeah, I like those running backs that could do a little bit of both. I don't like the huge guys that are just power guys or the real small guys. It seems like you picked a couple good guys that can do a little bit of everything.
Yep. My number two, that's probably a guy I'm definitely a fan of too, is Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. Jahmyr Gibbs is a player who didn't really have that much productivity at Alabama this past season, but he was very impactful of what he can bring to the table. A guy that I think he had 900 rushing yards, but I think what really kind of stands out that he had 444 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's a guy that you can utilize in the passing game just as much as you can use as a running game. So I'm sure a lot of guys are going to be looking into that. Jahmyr Gibbs, not the best running back to come out of Alabama, but he's the guy who shows a lot of versatility in that. So I'm sure a lot of players who utilize running backs in a passing attack will definitely look at him.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, to be honest. Alabama used to be, they used to have this reputation of having good running backs and never made it in the pros. Cleveland fans, if you remember Trent Richardson, that was a guy the Browns drafted pretty high and just never really made it in the NFL. But I think that perception's kind of changed a little bit. Najee Harris has had a pretty good career so far for the Steelers, and it'll be interesting to see if the guy you mentioned can keep the good flow going.
Alabama has a pretty good track record with running backs. I mean, Trent Richardson obviously was a bust, but can't ignore guys like Derrick Henry, another name went to Alabama, like Mark Ingram.
Well, there was a stretch.
Brian Robinson has been doing some things at Washington right now. They have a strong history of running backs that's doing well. Sean Alexander before that. So
yeah, but there was a couple of years for injuries. I guess maybe it wasn't as much they stunk. Like I think of a guy like Eddie Lacy. He was from Alabama. He came really highly regarded, and injuries kind of slowed him down. Sean Alexander was great, but injuries kind of hurt his career too a little bit.
I think Eddie Lacy, I don't think it wasn't really the injury. If I remember correctly, he had a weight problem. That was his issue.
Oh, yeah. But the weight kind of led to some injuries too. You're right. The weight issue is probably the biggest issue, but that just led some health issues and everything. So, no, but like you said, I think it was pretty much like, and even Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram was good. Mark Ingram never really was a star. I don't think it was as much Mark Ingram.
He made All Pro at one point, didn't he?
Right, but for some reason they weren't using him as much as they should. And I don't think that was a Mark Ingram problem. I think it was just more the teams weren't using him like they should. Yeah,
he still had a pretty good career. I mean,
yeah,
I think I think he's still playing at New Orleans. He's back in New Orleans. He's not what he
Right.
used to be, but all around, he had a pretty solid career. So that
I wish they could use him more. I mean, I guess maybe that was my thought with
well,
Murray.
you can't use him more anymore because he doesn't really have a lot in the tank. But
Right. Well, when they had the chance and when he was a younger guy. All right, who's your number one?
oh, this is a no-brainer. Bijan Robinson. I
Yep.
love him. He's the complete package. He's the guy who probably gonna be the first running back taken. He'll probably might find somewhere in the mid to late first round someone a team that feel like they need a running back to probably to complete their offense. Probably a playoff team. Bijan Robinson is a beast, and he's the guy who yards after tackle. I don't want to tackle this guy. He's like 230. 6'1", like 230. I think that was his weight, at least around there. Strong, physical, downhill runner, yards at the contact. I don't think I could compare him to a current NFL running back. Maybe Nick Chubb is probably as close to him, maybe. Or you want to go further, or you want to take a little step further. Another really good Texas back, another good running back that came out of Texas who ran just like him, violently, Ricky Williams. Remember how he was in Texas?
Yeah.
I think Bijan Robinson have a little Ricky Williams in him, and I'm a Dolphins fan, and I love Ricky Williams. So I think that's probably as good of a comparison of Bijan's game.
I heard a theory. I'm not sure if I definitely agree with this or not. Because we just talked earlier in the show about the NFL, and you were saying the Eagles may have a lot of defensive holes within the free agents they got. But I saw a mock draft I thought was intriguing. The Eagles have 2 first round picks. The first one's at number 10. And people say, hey, if they lost a running back, Bijan Robinson at 10, why don't you pick him up? So that'd be kind of interesting.
That could be a stretch. I
Well,
think
the
they're.
defensive issues.
I don't really expect them to probably draft the running back that high. Um, I think probably the biggest steal in the first round is probably I think he's going to be more on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's
If they're
possible.
not if they're if because Tony Pollard is a free agent, I'm sure they're going to bring him back. Zeke is descending. Having a Bijan Robinson and put him in that mix definitely could be something for the offense, another explosive weapon to build around Dak Prescott. So that's probably another possibility where he could land.
Okay. Sounds good. So it looks like you got good running back options. One guy you didn't bring up, and I wouldn't have brought him up in the top 5. What do you think about Deuce Vaughn? He's kind of an interesting guy. He's a real little guy. He was pretty productive for Kansas City. I wouldn't call him in the top 5, but do you think he has a possibility in the NFL?
He was my honorable mention, man. I'm really a fan of Deuce Vaughn. Uh, yeah, he's 5'6", short in stature, but I think it's like a running fire hydrant. So he's hard to take down. Not the fastest, but I think he could definitely take it to the next level. I think he's gonna get a lot more looks as a return guy, or maybe a punt return. Until he probably might find his way into the rotation, maybe as a change of pace back. I probably wouldn't even put him. I think that's probably going to be the question about him is is he your starting caliber running back, or is he like your running back too, or be the guy you can split carries with, or is he gonna be like a role player, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's the ideal what you want as your starting running back, but a guy who can probably get in that rotation or at least give him a significant amount of carries. So that's probably going to be the question for Deuce Vaughn. But all around, I definitely like his game too. I'm definitely a fan of his.
He kind of reminds me of like a Lionel James, probably a little bit before your time. He was kind of like a small scat back that played for the San Diego Chargers a long time ago, and he was good. Yeah, he wasn't never your starting guy, But he made a career for himself as a good returner, a good pass catcher, and we needed to run. He was pretty sharp. I mean, again, never a guy you would want to be your franchise, 20 carry game guy, but he definitely played a role. He definitely was pretty impressive. So
Probably another name that he reminds me of, and he's probably a more recent. And he also went to Kansas State, and he played for the definitely played for the Chargers as well. Do you remember what's his name? It's starting to Darren Sproles, that's his name.
yeah.
Darren Sproles.
Same type of player. Yep.
He's pretty much the same guy, same build. They still play at a high enough level. So that I think that's probably how he will be utilized in the league too. So if he brings the versatility and be more active on special teams, I think he's gonna be like a Darren Sproles type player.
Sounds good. Hey, I think on our first segment, you talked about doing a piece on Dominic Robinson of the Bears and formerly McKinley for CantonRep.com. Please subscribe so you can read all Peter's stuff. What else are you working on? Is there something you'd like to do in the future?
Expect me to do a lot of coverage on the USFL.
Oh yeah.
Coming up soon.
What do you think about the XFL's first weekend?
I haven't really paid that much attention to it. I probably saw the day game. I was like, it's okay, it's cool. So we'll see. We'll see about that. So back to USFL. But now that the Pittsburgh Maulers are going to be playing in Canton all season, that's like a good chance that they're going to have me covered. So that's we're still figuring that out, but expect some Pittsburgh Maulers content when USFL season comes on.
Are we going to see any of the Steelers with the Maulers? Are we going to see like a Mitch Trubisky sighting or something? I know it doesn't work out that way, but
they did have the draft yesterday, and they drafted a really good quarterback coming out of an FCS school called the Incarnate Word. Lindsey Scott the second. Lindsey Scott Jr. His name. He is really good, and I think he might be a day one starter, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought it was intriguing. These are some of my favorite receivers back from my time. A couple guys got in trouble with the NFL or in the XFL. Did you see Matavius Bryant, who I loved? I mean, Matavius Bryant got himself in trouble, but if he kept himself on the straight and narrow, man, Matavius Bryant was scary good when he was good. He's playing the XFL now, and Josh Gordon, popular name with the Browns. He's playing the XFL too. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of notable NFL players that are there. Adrian McCarron's another name that played. There's who's another one? There's a lot. There's really a ton of former NFL players that are playing at the XFL. I think they marketed. They're marketed it well, and so they definitely have a good amount of players that are playing at XFL. So
I'm sure Matavius Bryant is not the receiver he once was, but if he was anywhere close, pick him up cheap, Steelers. I'm not sure Matavius Bryant can play in the NFL. Well, the drug rules are a little bit different now than they were, but I don't know. Man, I miss Matavius Bryant. That guy was great. So, all right. And also, too, hey, my job thing has kept changing. I'm glad it seemed to stabilize. Keep following my friends from NBC4 in Columbus, NBC4i.com if you're not nearby. These are a lot of fun stories, a lot of great content on there. But check out my new gig, MahoneyMatters.com. I'm the new editor-in-chief. We talked about Ray Boom Boom Mancini, talked about him. And then Youngstown State, we're following their basketball team. Pierre, I don't follow a ton of college basketball, so I didn't know as much about Youngstown State, but man, they're tearing it up in the Horizon League. They've won.
I saw that. Yeah, they're really good. They've been dominating. I definitely see them winning their conference and probably going to get a good. I don't know if they're going to be a high seed, but they're definitely going to be somewhere in the probably in the mid teens. Um, so probably in the early teens, maybe like ninth or 10th seed, probably at the best. But Youngstown State definitely having a great year.
I was going to write an editorial column. I got to do one each week. I don't know what's tomorrow. Thursday. It may not be till next week now, but I don't know. Is this too weird to say? Do you think we could call Youngstown State the best college basketball team in Ohio, or is that too crazy?
Uh,
You know,
that's
Ohio State's not good. I think they're better than Ohio State, which sounds weird to say.
Ohio State's terrible.
Yeah,
Akron and Kent State has been pretty decent too. And I think Akron is a good favorite of winning the MAC as well. So, um, it's not ideal, but I
the
think
Cincinnati's not that great this year, are they?
no, Cincinnati's not good at all. I think it's more the mid majors like Youngstown State and Akron.
Who do you think wins? If it, maybe it's best to say to play on a neutral site, Youngstown State or Ohio State? I don't know, man. I'd probably say Youngstown State, which sounds weird to say, but Ohio State's not good this year.
Yeah, that's a trick. That's a trick question. Um, Ohio State probably might have the better athletes,
Right.
but I wouldn't even be surprised if Youngstown State do beat them. Ohio State's really bad.
Oh yeah.
They're
Well,
like like it's not even just the team, it's like the whole program itself is pretty bad. I've been hearing nothing but bad news.
and the
They really need to make a change.
and the odd thing is they've got a guy in Bryce Sensabaugh who, for as rough as Ohio State is, Sensabaugh is probably a one and done guy, and I'm saying probably at least first round, if not lottery. And it's weird to have a guy like that, and you're still under 500. They were 10-3, Peter, at one time. I think they're what 11-15 now. And believe it or not, Pierre, I was actually at the only game they've won. They've won they've lost 12 or last 13. I was at the only one they won in that time would it be Iowa, but it was just it's a rough basketball team right now. It's shocking. So you think if I write Youngstown State could be the best college basketball team in Ohio right now, it's probably not too crazy, right?
It's not ideal. If let's see how far of a run they go if they make the big dance. So
Yeah. They lost a tough game last night against Robert Morris. They had a lead. It was on the road. They just turned the ball over a ton, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's been fun to kind of follow them along and see what happens there. So, yeah, follow Youngstown State and all the other fun stuff going on. So, yeah. Oh, and Youngstown's also getting a semi-pro football team next year. I'm not sure what to make of that. So, it's
wait, say that again. Where they are?
they're I don't know if the league's been there and they've invited Youngstown or whatever, but Youngstown's going to be in a semi-pro football league next year, some Ohio
Why?
league or whatever. Yeah, kind of wild.
Why? That
So
does.
it's
I
semi-pro.
understand that.
They'll probably pick.
Aren't they an FCS team?
Oh boy, I'm not sure. It's again when you're not. Sometimes you take what you can get. Like Youngstown's not going to get XFL team or USFL team, so. But it's very developmental. I mean, they'll sell tickets there, but it's semi-pro football. I mean, they'll play at some high school field and just be done with it, I'm sure. So,
Okay.
yeah, they're not playing at Sandbox Stadium. I'm sure they won't do that. So, all right. Well, Pierre, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. We'll be back next week. My schedule has firmed up and we're ready to go. So, for Peter, this is Chris. Thanks for checking out our football shows. Have a great night, everybody.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co-authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.